Hi, I'm Tom Savini, and you're watching Without Your Head. But why?
Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal, and I'm joined by Perry Blackshear, writer and director of When I Consume You, which played Monday at the Brooklyn Horror Film Festival.
Hello, how's it going, man?
Good. And I love the movie, not just because you're here. I was really into it.
Excellent caveat. That's great. I'm really glad you liked it.
Were you at the screening?
Yes, definitely at the screening. The actors all flew in from LA, so it was a really good homecoming because I live in the area and it was shot in the area, and it was great.
Yeah. So had you watched it with an audience before?
I had never seen it with an audience. I'd never seen it in a theater. I'd never been to it. I haven't been to a theater, and it feels like a trillion years. So it was really exciting for multiple reasons at once. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you film it pre-COVID?
Yes, just pre-COVID. Although it's funny, some people said, "Oh, you must have filmed it during COVID because it's like really lonely." Right. And I was like, "No, I guess there was loneliness before COVID. Maybe we're just more aware of it now, or something like that."
That is interesting. That comes up a few times in different things I've watched recently. I think people, read into things what they want to read into it.
Yeah. I guess it's maybe one of those things that's forever been there, or we were experiencing, and now just the volume has been turned so the loneliness volume is so high now that we just see it everywhere. Yeah.
Without giving too much away, I guess, could you give people an idea of what When I Consume You is?
Yeah, so it's the story of a brother and a sister who grew up, had a hard time growing up and are really protective of each other. And there's this evil stalker that is sort of after them, having, maybe it was after them when they were younger and now it's back again. And the story becomes sort of what happens when two people with very different ways of approaching life when they have to confront evil, and how they have to change to be able to deal with this evil presence, and how their relationship changes through fighting through this terrible thing that has come into their lives.
Do you have any siblings yourself?
Yes, I have a younger sister.
Because I thought you really built it well, that you really see the connection between them. There's a really sweet scene, I think, when they share the earbuds.
Yeah. I think so. It's funny because it's actually not so much based on my sister and me, and more like two sides of my own self split. At least that's how it started. Where I don't know if you get this, but sometimes when you're sitting there and you're like, I feel sorry for myself because of blank. And there's a part of your brain that's like, shut up, like, get up, do some stop whining. No, like life is hard, buddy. And then there's the other side that's like, oh, like flowers. I don't know, being nice. And I think that wrestling match is to like how to be in this world that is both hard sometimes and also beautiful sometimes. It's like, what's the right way to be? And so that back and forth. And then also what the actors brought to it totally transformed what I originally had, because, you get these ideas, you have these characters in your head, and then what's in your brain connects to reality. And then it becomes totally something outside of you and has its own life. And Evan and Libby really knocked it out of the park, and they're good friends. They both have siblings who they care a lot about. And I think Libby told me one of the reasons she was so excited about it was like, I feel this way about my siblings, and I just want to, if someone fucks with them, I just want to fuck them up. So this is great, Yeah.
So Evan, you've worked with a lot before. When you were writing it, did you have him in mind for that role?
Yes, always in mind for that role. Libby was new to our sort of team, at least, but it feels like I've known her now for a decade because of how closely we worked together and how much we connected, during the whole process. But yes, when I was very young in college, the filmmakers I worshipped at the time, P.T. Anderson and a bunch of these, the connection between the writer director and his cast and how you write for actors. I didn't know that you could do that. And I thought, oh my God, what so amazing. You get to work with these people over and over again. Flanagan does it now too. It's just what a joy to be able to and I had a lot of friends that are actors, and they're like, man, we're just competing for like these terrible roles that we hate. Wouldn't it be great if we worked with someone to come up with a role that we loved and was also really interesting? So that I love working with actors. Is one of my favorite parts of this whole this whole game.
Along those lines, I would assume the benefit is, you know, their strengths and, you know, how, you know, like, I know what this guy can do and, you know, how to write for him.
You definitely lean into their strengths, and I don't really know if they have any weaknesses, but it's more like I get cast as this, but I really am good at this. And I'm like, okay, we'll work with that. And then also Margaret Ying Drake was really good at judo. She was in the same judo class as Ronda Rousey at one point.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I'm totally going to write that for your character now, because you can do that, you know? So it's like you get to draw on all their strength, you know, their life stories and stuff too. Yeah.
So how did Libby get involved? You said she was friends with Evan.
Friends with Evan. We auditioned her. We auditioned a few people, and I think that I'd auditioned friends of friends before, and there was always a point where I was like, okay, but the way we make films is a little different, and you really have to be kind of down. It's like a whole experience. The advantage is I work with you really closely to work with your character, and we'll like make it better for you. And you know, the other thing is that you have to be, you know, ready to run sound sometimes, or like ready to kind of be ready for anything and to turn on a dime and stuff. But I'll definitely protect your performance. That's my promise. And sometimes people are not quite ready for how, you know, like walking out on the street late at night it is, you know what I mean? And so we did a few auditions. We knew she was an amazing actress. It was just like, are you really up for this? And she was like, oh my God, I am so up for this. Like, and that she was amazing, man. Like on set, I like to tell this story. You have to, like, we all were working really hard, 12-hour days. We took naps. It was amazing to work with each other, but very hard. And the end, I got really sick back at the time when being sick was just like a thing and not like a scary, you know, maybe death sentence or whatever.
Yeah.
And I lost my voice. So the last few days I was directing like this, and I was feeling sorry for myself. And then I had found out that Libby had been sick for like 10 days in the middle of the shoot, and was just like pounding Dayquil and like, you know, doing all these other things and never complained once. And I was like, damn, dude, I have to like get with the program here. This tough actress. No, amazing to work with her. Amazing to like, now I feel like I can't, you know, I want to work with her on every project.
Yeah.
So it's been great.
She's been added to the team, man.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So you said you filmed it in the Brooklyn area or New York, I guess. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, like the locations, are those places like you've seen just when you're walking around or whatever, and you like keep in your mind like, hey, it would be cool to film something here?
Yes. So it's a combination of that. Where there was no crew, it was just me and the actors. So I knew I wouldn't have any lights or anything. So we had to find places that were private and had good lighting. And so part of it was just walking around, knowing the Greenpoint area, having lived here for like 12 years now. And then I also just spent a few weekends on a city bike, zooming around, sort of mapping out all of Greenpoint and all the places I could find, and discovering weird places that looked kind of different, and great places to shoot. So it was a lot of scouting, which is pretty fun, actually. Yeah.
Along those lines, when you said you didn't have like a lot of lighting and stuff, and I don't know how to say this I didn't want to be insulting at all, but I think the movie did a lot with very little, because I was really into it, and it was not like a lot of effects, but the story I'm really into, and just the use of like the yellow eyes and the music and everything really got me involved in the movie. And I think all that can add to the production value.
Yeah, I think we really set out to make an ambitious film. We wanted to expand the world, do things like fight scenes, you know, things that we didn't do, and they look like people. And I really wanted to make this kind of Neal, like a zero, well, not a zero, well, it is a zero budget, but not look like a zero budget, right. But a very low budget noir, a kind of, you know, with all the like, I just love New York at night. And I think that we definitely were stretched to our limit. But it was really exhilarating to be out there working with you know, seeing what we could do with what we had, and doing stuff that we found really scary or you know, exciting, and saying, okay, this is where we want to get. Here's what we have. How can we make this happen? You know, that's sort of like the fun of independent film is you're fighting so much, but you're doing it together. and it's just you versus reality, which is a battle that I'm ready for.
Yeah. I like the theme of fighting your demons is kind of, and literal in the movie. And because I always think of like where like the origins of phrases come from. And I've always thought like probably back in the day before people knew what alcoholism or anything like that was, they just thought it was an actual demon.
Yeah, I think, They Look Like People was very psychological, and this one was psychological, but I also wanted it to feel more supernatural. I mean, really just grounded in the supernatural. But one picture I had early on was when I've gone through rough times, the feeling of how physical the internal feelings can feel. Like they're not just feelings; they sit in your guts and your body, like like something is bludgeoning you. And I thought that would be great. I wanted it to feel very tactile and very physical. And I did love this idea of, when you have something about yourself that you hate, if you could just punch it in the face, wouldn't that be great? That voice in your head being like, you're fucking idiot, just be like, fuck you, and just punch it in the face.
Right.
And so that's sort of part of where it came from. And, hopefully at the end, it's like, you can't punch it in the face. I mean, maybe you can, but it usually doesn't work out that great. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is a question you want to answer, but do you have any personal history, even not necessarily you, but, with someone you knew or anybody with addiction issues?
Yes. And without getting too much into it, definitely, I think Russell Brand talks a lot about this, but, we're all addicts to some degree, or at least if you fall on the spectrum, whether it's like something, on one side, there's sort of heroin of it all. And then the other side, it's just addicted to helping others or being on Instagram or, being smart or whatever it is. And I'm not on any extreme, but I definitely feel the tug of wanting to find things to make yourself feel less, empty inside. And I think I have a lot of friends and loved ones, and all of us who have gone down the rabbit hole really far and dealt with the struggles. And I've been on both sides of this. So I felt like, in some ways I've escaped rather lightly from it all so far. And I feel very grateful for that. But I do think that it mattered so much to all of us to do this story as to do right by the people that we care about, that, that have gone through these things, and to bring our own experiences and those are the people we care about to the film.
Yeah. I'm 31 months sober and clean and everything. So but I like the idea of the spectrum because it could be anything. Like you said, it could be I like the social media because I think I've gone pretty addicted to that myself. So yeah.
Yes, definitely. And it's easy to joke about, but I definitely think, how people just turn to this little thing like a pacifier. It's like something bad just happened, and you're like, please
I didn't
escape,
even have
please.
a phone till 2011, and my friend Annabelle was like, "You can't not have a phone," and I was like, "I'll never use it," and then I have it all the time. I get anxious if I'm like, "Oh no, I don't have my phone on me."
I know. It's like you're tethered to the great beyond now. It's like how can we not exist with? Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
exactly.
What I noticed watching the movie too is it starts like it feels like a small story about brother and a sister, but by the end, when you add all the kind of mythology and supernatural elements, it seems like an epic story. And I thought that was done really well. And I don't know if that's something you thought about while you're writing it.
Yeah, I think I did always imagine it as this sort of mini psychological epic of some kind, and I don't know why I thought that. I think it has to do with how far the characters go from the beginning to the end, especially the character of Wilson, and how this huge transformation that takes place with him. And that feeling that I had when I was younger, and I don't know if it's a male thing or not, but a feeling of being, wanting to just be friendly to life. And then, at some point needing to be harder, but maybe going too far and not having difficulty figuring out that balance between being kind and loving and tough. I definitely wanted it to ramp up and start intimate and then get sort of bigger at the end, so that it feels like part of a bigger something bigger than itself, basically, by the end. This demon that has existed for many years and will continue to do this until its day.
Yeah. This might be more of a question for the actor. I'm not sure, but when you have such a big character arc like that, where they change so from one end to the other end, I would assume it's harder to play that in the middle, because you can't just go from point A to point B, because that would seem strange. But kind of playing the middle of the arc would be harder. I don't know how about writing it. Is it the same way?
I think it was the film was conveniently divided sort of into two halves, and we did talk about Wilson 1.0 and Wilson 2.0, and the actor did walk around Greenpoint to get sandwiches and stuff, sort of trying to be the character and to experience how the world reacted. So he'd be Wilson 1.0 and go and just apologize for like even taking up any space, and the way people just ignored him and treated him and how it felt, and then he would go around walking like a wolf, ready to just, ready basically, and how the world reacted to him there. And both kind of scared me a little bit. So I think we did talk a lot about that transition and what it meant and how to come back from that and to maybe find somewhere in the middle at the end. Yeah, if possible. It's very hard.
Yeah. So I just mentioned When I Consume You played at Brooklyn Horror Film Festival. Where does it go from here? Other festivals? And do you know where it goes after the festival run yet, or is it too early?
Yes. And it's playing at Film Quest quite soon in Utah. And then it's also playing in across the ocean in Celluloid Screams and Terramolans in Spain. And one other place that is escaping me right now. And as far as distribution, we have Yellow Veil that just came on to be our salespeople. So that exactly where it's going is still a little bit hush hush, but we're really excited to be working with them and excited where it goes next.
Okay, very cool. Well, this is a true story. I added it. I keep a list because I see many movies. And I keep a list of my favorites for when we do the end of the year, and I added it to the list. So. Oh,
that's awesome, man. Well, thank you. I'm really glad to talk to you about this. This movie is so personal, and I love it. So, it's like, I don't know. It's great to talk about, and I'm really glad we got to talk about it.
Yeah, me too. And I hope people check it out. I really liked it. And also Bingo Hell. I'm friends with Gigi Salguerrero, and you wrote Bingo Hell, so people should check that out.
Oh, yeah. She's a good egg. That Shane, I don't know if you've met Shane. He's an awesome guy. If you get a chance, yeah.
Very cool. Well, thanks for doing this.
Awesome, man.
Yep.
All right. I'll see you around.
Yep. Bye.